Get underway. Welcome. I have to read the prepared script here. Welcome to the 42nd CALLERLAB Convention in Springfield, Missouri. Today is Monday, March 30th, 2015. The name of this session is Styling. My name is Ed Foote. I'm from Pittsburgh. Panelists with me is Tim Marriner from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And we're going to be discussing styling. Two aspects of styling. One, to just have the dance experience and be successful on the floor. Styling to make you successful on the floor. And then second, styling to make you look good. And that really covers all the styling. So we're going to start off and we're going to have Tim discuss how do we actually dance? How do we actually move our body around the floor? Tim?
Sure. Thanks, Ed. You know, one of the aspects in today's choreography-minded activity that we have, we as callers are choreographically minded, and a lot of times we defer or even ignore the fact that there's some styling hints that are listed in some of our definitions and booklets and materials. And one of the basic things that we fail to mention right from the get-go is we say, okay, we identify who the partners and couples are. And we forget to explain what an inside hand is or an outside hand. We sort of just say, hey, everybody take hands, make a big circle, it's a fellowship ring. And we say men's palms up, ladies' palms down, and everybody walk to the left, or shuffle to the left, or circle to the left. And sometimes that's all you get. And so you have Hoppy and Skippy who've never come to an activity before, and they get to doing this thing and skipping and hopping and they're moving around. And they're going to continue to do that until somebody says, you know, the less hopping and skipping you do, the less effort it is on your knees, and you know, you probably physically ought to try to just kind of glide and keep level-headed and those sorts of things. But why not express that or say that from the get-go for the whole group to hear? And I realize when we're doing our first, if we're doing dance parties and those things, Hoppy and Skippy all night long, don't worry about them. But if we're doing lessons and we're expecting that these folks are going to be a part of the activity, we want them in our circles, wherever your entry program might be, then we need to give them good habits and try to instill upon them these good habits right from the start. And that means identifying how they take hands, men's palms up, ladies' palms down. It's a platform for the ladies to rest their hand upon. Guys, you're not gripping the girls. You just have a platform there. We're not using thumbs. New dancers like to grab real tight, and you can see the skin squished up there and their fingertips are getting red. You say, you're holding your hands too tight. Loosen up, it's just a platform, and keep everything here at hand level where everything is. And I call this, I explain, when I put the music on, you have to be in what I call dance-ready position. Hands held, men's palms up, ladies' palms down. Now we're ready to go. Don't take hands with your corner, just we made a square, and form this dance-ready position. And now we start the game of, now we need to shuffle and learn how to walk or dance and shuffle to the left or circle to the right. And these are gliding steps. You emphasize that your heels aren't resting on the ground. You're actually sliding the balls of your toes right off the balls of your feet. And you're sliding, it's a gliding step. And it's effortless if you have a nice dance surface. If you're not blessed with a nice dance surface, like if we had to work on this rug, we would have problems with that. You have folks that like to be stylish and they have these sneakers and they're wearing sneakers and all these things that grip to the floor. Sneakers would be really difficult. We're going to have some difficult time showing some styling things here today on this rug because you'll have to lift your feet unless you have a soled shoe that will glide on this surface. So it's one of those things that you have to look at the facility and the environment that you're in. If you're in a perfect world and you have a nice wood floor, even if it's tiled floor, what have you, they can still slide their feet. And I say, listen to the room slide, and you can hear the shuffle of the whole room going to the beat of the music. And I said, we need to step to each beat of the music. And that tells the guy that really doesn't want to be there. who's walking around like this because he just wants to trot along, he didn't really want to be here anyway, that he needs to take smaller steps and try to slide to the music. And once they understand that from the start, then they can start to fall into place and they'll adhere to what all the rest of the group is doing. And then you have to adjust to hoppy and skippy. Just keep the left feet, keep the feet sliding to the music. Just try to stay with a forward lean. You don't want to rest and you're not making walking steps, because there is a difference between walking and dancing. We are teaching square dancing, not square walking, right, Ed? And so it's square dancing, which means they have to learn to slide their feet and shuffle their feet in a gliding gait.
And the unfortunate thing I see in my travels, the name of our activity has turned into square walk, not square dance. Over half of all dancers I see on the floor are walking, they're not dancing. I wonder if they've been told this, that dancing, you're on the balls of the feet in the front, walking, you're on your heels.
And the music means a lot. You have to have a nice rhythmic beat that they can feel the gliding steps that they need to take. If it's over busy, if the music is back there, they can't feel that gliding step or hear the whole room go shh, 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 shh. And that's a nice sound. How many times have you used that as an effect, maybe for a singing call, where you turn the music down, then you hear the whole room just go shh, 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 and everybody says, wow, that's nice. And now they're really dancing, the whole room. Now, this guy that's taking the big guiding steps has to kind of conform a little bit. That fella, he's going to have to. And sometimes it's the ladies. I know some ladies that take long gaits when they do their load the boats. They're halfway around the square before the centers have finished anything. So with that in mind, with the sliding and the gliding step, and you're trying to get the room to feel that sense of dance, when you get that sound where the shh, 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 and you circle to the right, and it's the same thing to the other way. Go to the right, shh, 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 and it's a great sound to have. Once you've accomplished that, then you can go on and start showing and dancing all these other dance actions that you wish to do. Again, if it's a dance party, I'm not so much concerned about those types of things. But on a class night, and we know that they're going to be coming and that we're wanting to keep these folks for as long as we can, then I'm going to emphasize the styling and technique of how to walk and those sorts of things. Ed, is there some more you want to talk about the walking side of stuff?
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Okay, so that covers that. Again, then it comes to how to do and execute call by call. And on the bottom of the mainstream program sheet, the basic mainstream program sheet, there's a little paragraph on the lower right side of the page. Have you read that recently? If you read that, one of the comments it says, there's a sentence that I think we just don't even read. And it says that dance actions should be shown from more than one position. Styling and history are to be shown as well. And it's in that paragraph. And if you don't read that little section, we forget that. We skip it because we are so pushed with time that we push through and skip the styling things. When these styling things are what is the beauty of the dance. And it's that beauty of the dance that I believe keeps some people into it. Now there's puzzlers, there'll always be puzzlers because we want callers, and we as callers, we're the puzzlers. Oh, isn't it cool? And what if we did that? And if we didn't, and if you moved, and then if you finish like it, oh, that's cool stuff, I want to call. And so the puzzlers become the callers. And so we train as puzzlers rather than dancers again. We have to think as dancers do and get back to the basics of how to shuffle and keep level-headedness and looking up. One of the things we're doing a little later is square recovery, and one of the things is posture. And teaching that and saying, guys, if you look up and see what's happening around you, you're going to be better off than looking down at the ground and hunched over and whatnot and not paying attention, not being visible to see or have hands available to do things. So those are some more of the items we'll get to here in a little bit. But each call per call basis now, we have styling hints. Now, do we need to go back to, oh, you must cross your hands behind your back on a do-si-do, or you must crisscross and do it this way? No, there's no must involved. It's whatever feels comfortable in your region, you do. There isn't a, you must do it this way, and all we have are recommendations. And on each definition, there's a little styling hint, some styling ideas that you might want to try to show. And it doesn't take any more time to teach or to tell that little thing, and it doesn't expand the amount of teach time. Some people say, oh, I skip it because it takes too long to teach now. I don't have time to show more stuff. But if you can, on a right and a left through, or in a courtesy turn, which is one we do later, when you show the counter dancing and the body, how it works between couples, how to maintain handholds, and sometimes even eye contact. Those little hints will help the dancer learn the call better, execute it well for the future. Those are some ideas that I think you really want to go back to reading on. Sometimes, again, we skip those. So, Ed, is there some more you want to, we can back to whatever you want.
One way I like to sell styling in general, and maybe dancers aren't into styling, I say you want to look good when you're dancing. And a way to cause yourself to look good while you're dancing is to pretend that at tonight's dance there are 20 people from the local community out to observe and see what square dancing is like. They've never seen square dancing before. They're here, they're observing, and they're all watching you. So you are the example for them of how to dance. Oh boy, the men stand up straight. I better do this stuff. That's the mindset we want to create. Now, one of the keys, to me it's the most important key on styling, because it prevents square breakdowns, is the taking of hands at the completion of calls. Now, there's nothing new on this. We've heard this many times. But there are little, what I call secret techniques that we can get the dancers to do this. If you tell the dancers, well, let's take hands at the end of a call. They'll say, okay, I'm done with a square through, and okay, I'll take the hand now, but life is going on and the next call is coming. So I like to plant mental pictures in their minds of taking hands. So I tell them that when a call is completed, your hands must be taken 1/2 second after the completion of that call. Now they say 1/2 second? I think he means he wants me to do this kind of fast. Now, if they take a full second, I don't care. I want that image in their mind of the call is done, take the hands. And so what I do at a workshop, once I've explained this, maybe from an 8-chain through we call square through 4, so we're going to have lines facing out when we're done. And they're done doing the call, and I just start to count. I say 1, 2, 3. They go, what are you doing? I say, well, I'm counting the number of seconds it takes you to take hands. Boom, right out there. Now the next time somebody doesn't take hands, say 1. I don't even get to 2 and the hands are out. Everybody's looking around for who doesn't have the hands. So that's a key way to get dancers trained to take hands at the completion of every call. 1/2 second, and actually do the counting in your workshop. But then there's phase 2 or part 2 of taking hands. It isn't sufficient to take hands immediately. If the arms are way outstretched, then the square is much too big to operate efficiently. So I tell people, whenever you take hands, elbows must be bent. Look at your elbow. Look at other people's elbow. Is it bent? That's the key, and I will stop and say, yeah, your hands are joined, but look how big your square. Are your elbows bent? They look, oop, nope, and that pulls the square right in together. Those are 2 key hints on taking hands that really isn't written down anywhere except in this wonderful handout we'll give you at the end here. But that's the key to getting people to take hands.
And going in regard to the hand contact, when you talk about hand availability, have the hand available. That means you stay in dance mode. When I talk about dance mode, the hands are here, accessible to after each call. Somebody needs to take that hold of that hand. And Ed's idea of counting down is way better than saying after each call, and take hands, and take hands, and take it. Now, and take hands, the dancers think that's a call. And take hands. So when he says, and not, when he doesn't say that, they think, oh, well, I don't take hands after that. And now you have people that are dancing that will have their hands hanging down at their sides. And if you experience a boys run and the hand for the lady is down here at the side, the guy has to hunt for the hand because it's gone. He goes around the other side of the body. He expects there to be a hand to rest in his, and oh, it's down here. So it takes an added second or so, or beat of music to take that hand and then get ready to do the next call. Let alone if they don't have hold of hands and you call bend the line or wheel and deals or any of those sorts of things. And as a little drill, I will say, hey, everybody not take hands for a second, just drop hands and try to do this bend the line. Their bodies are going all over the place because they don't know how to do it. So the idea of taking the hands is that helpful thing. You need to have that hand accessible and available. I've had people put their hands in their pockets. And on square through, every other hand goes in the other pocket. Every other hand goes into the pocket. Every other hand as they do their next hand, whatever one's available. And it's just a bad habit. You've got to say, hey guys, your hands need to be in 6-gun position. Draw. And here they are, right in front of you. And that's how you dance. Just keep your hands there, and something's going to grab it, preferably another hand. Okay?
That's something else. You ever see when the floor is squared up before you start to call, guys are standing there with their hands in their pockets? If this is a group that I've called for before and kind of friendly with, everybody's squared up, and I'll say, now as we learned the first night in beginner's class, the caller is not allowed to call until all hands are out of pockets. Everybody's looking around, hands are right out of pockets right away. Styling. Styling. Did you have more on that?
Yeah, the other thing is just the little test. And Ed and I had some conversation even before on this, because we've done a couple of sessions on styling in the past at conventions, national conventions even. One of the things is if you just say, heads go forward and back, and you see that they're not taking hands, and individually they're walking up to the middle and coming back, you know you're going to probably have a little difficult time of calling to that group this night, because they're not the ones that have been told or trained to keep the hands held. So being observant and seeing, are they taking hands? How about on Grand Square? And they just do it all like 8 unguided missiles all by themselves, never taking somebody's hand. And if Ethel or Gertrude's left behind, they don't care. You know, they're just going to do their thing and turn and go. And now that's your parameter of knowing, how am I going to be able to call to this group tonight?
How many of you were at the dance last night? A lot of callers are calling Grand Square. It's the worst mass exhibition of Grand Square I've seen in a long time. I mean, people were doing it in like 20 counts. It was like 2 steps, turn, 2, it was just incredible. And what got me was, this is from callers and callers' partners. So if this is happening with us, what hope is there? I mean, to me, we should be demonstrating, doing the call in the precise time it's given. One other thing on this taking of hands, tell the dancers, you don't want to break down, right? So therefore, keep your set small. And you keep your set small by keeping your elbows bent when hands are joined. And the rule, I like to give people rules because people can remember quick little rules. The rule is, the smaller the square, the more successful it is. Or, i.e., the smaller the square, the fewer breakdowns. So if you want to break down less, keep your square small. That'll sell it.
Another thing is, on regards to hands again, is now you have a problem of how long do they hold that hand? How long do they retain the handhold on pull-bys? Because later we start into right and left grands and those actions. And you see them hold on to the hand long enough that it turns their bodies the opposite way. So when I start those actions, I get out on the floor and say, folks, we do pull-bys, we do these hand actions, and this is one where you touch the hand, you pass the shoulder by. You touch the hand, let it go, and pass them by. Alternating hands on a right and a left grand. You're not actually gripping the hand, you're not doing the lean backs, and you're not grabbing thumbs and spinning them around. You're taking this right and left grand approach where you're pulling the hand where you're actually touching the hand and passing each other by. You're not yanking or pulling by. But if you define it as a pull by, in your definition, or that's what they're going to do. They're going to start yanking people by. And then you have items like square through, and if they don't know how to let go of hands, they turn people the opposite directions than they need to turn on the action. So you have to reiterate it and get out there on the floor and say, this is what these hand pull by gestures mean. On a square through, you might read it, you know, you alternate hands and pull by. It's a walk past each other's shoulders as you alternate and touch the hands.
Well, it's being recorded. You have to give your name and where you're from.
Oz from Silicon Valley. So a lot of us who have been square dancing for a longer time and like to do square dancing with flourishes, we are going to be wanting to grip for things like the right and left grand. So how do you handle the dichotomy when you've got a class and some angels, and some of them are going to be wanting to do it the way they're used to doing it, and you're trying to teach it your way of doing it?
I have an angel letter that I produced to the angels ahead of time, that they're not allowed to do flourishes and extra things during the new dancers sessions, just because it can add confusion. Because you say, oh, he told us to do it this way, but we do this when we do this, and it's something different than they're being shown. They will experience that when they get out. And if it's a flourish that I think is really common to the region, I might show it. But I'm not showing Hungarian do-si-dos and those sorts of things, or slap and veer for circle to a lines. And so I'm going to teach the call properly, and I think that's what we owe to the new dancers, to be able to show those. Those flourishes are going to happen. If I see the angels doing those things, I'll get onto the floor and say, hey guys, they don't know how to do this. Here I am teaching grand square, and you guys are grabbing hands and sliding, doing the grand slide instead of the grand square, which is counterproductive. So, and I hope I'm answering what I do. It might not be the right thing, but it's what I do, and I feel good about it. So that's.
And Tim was saying about the problem of people holding hands too long. There's a caller in the state of Washington who came up with the greatest little slogan. I love this. He teaches people on a square through, when you pull by, he says, get rid of them. He said he has everybody say, get rid of them. Now that people start saying, get rid of them, especially turn through, right? Turn through, everybody holds on forever. He teaches turn through. Turn half, get rid of them. That get rid of them sinks into people's minds, and it works like a charm. Consider using that phrase, get rid of them.
Yeah, and you know, with the added flourishes and things, there's a reason those flourishes and those types of actions are being embellished or added. In my personal opinion, for like example on the do-si-do, why some would prefer to do a Highland swing or fling or whatever they're doing, the grab thing. The reasoning they're doing that is because maybe they're bored of doing 115 do-si-dos in one night. If you count the amount of times you call do-si-do in an evening, in every singing call there's 3 or 4. And we do 7 singing calls in an evening, and then you call it in your patter, and all those do-si-dos they're doing, they'll wind up coming up with some creative way of doing it. Same things if you start off with head square through for every sequence, head square through. Now those dancers are going patty cake, slap, 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 bump, bump, rump, rump, turn. And instead of doing the action, because it's like, you call that call again.
And another thing on the do-si-do, last night, how many do-si-dos were called? A lot of singing calls. Every figure, the 4 figures, head square through 4, do-si-do, or promenade half down the middle, square through 4, do-si-do. Why do dancers swing on a do-si-do? I think it may be because they hear so many that they're bored, but I think that inherently they know that do-si-do is an awkward call. It's a double reversal of body flow. You go forward and now you come back, that's one reversal, and now the second reversal to step back to the wave and do whatever you're going to do in a wave. A double reversal of body flow. And if you have this 7 times in a singing call and 7 tips a night, that's 49 do-si-dos. You dance twice a week, that's 100 do-si-dos. That's 800 reversal of body flows every month. People's stomachs are getting churned up. No wonder they're swinging, because a swing is a smooth dance, is a smooth flow for them. Now, if you ask anybody, well, is do-si-do an awkward call? They'll say no, because we can do it. So then it's not awkward. And granted, we round off the corner of the do-si-do. Consider, in your calling, eliminate 95% of your do-si-dos. It'll make your whole calling much smoother. I'm not saying eliminate do-si-do completely. It's a traditional call, will always be with us. But there's a basic rule of thumb. The more do-si-dos in your dance, the less smooth it is.
We had a square. Should we get the square up and show them some things? Or?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get
we had our volunteers that
Come
we
on
already
in and
pre-selected.
send the square up. Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate their volunteeringness. All right, so again, you have the normal inside handhold position when the music starts, and when they're talking and everything's fine and I don't have music ready, then I don't care what they're doing in their school, right? But when the music gets started and playing, I want the dancers to go back to the dance readiness mode. Inside hands are held. I express what an inside hand is. They have inside hands and outside hands. Later on, when we teach actions, that becomes pretty prevalent to be able to explain. Use your inside hands to do the turn, or take your outside free hand and arm turn. Those things. But if they've never been told what an inside or outside hand is, we just take it for granted, then you have some problems. So again, there's your normal dance position. It's a small square. They made a small square because we have a small space, right? So they have a small square. And then it's like men's palms up, ladies' palms down, join hands, and you'll circle to the left or shuffle to the left. And you can tell them they can look in the direction they're shuffling. They don't have to twist. They don't have to. If they have the dresses on, that's a natural thing. The ladies want to do the little twisty thing, so the skirts go out.
And square back up a second. Let me just mention this at the start. How many times when you're squaring up the floor, and so the people are squared, and then they join hands? They've made a circle. In other words, they've changed the formation on their own. Now, granted, this won't hurt them in a mainstream or plus dance, but it gives them, mentally it gives them license to change the formation, and this can hurt them down the road. So I always encourage people, don't join hands in a circle when you're just squared up unless the caller says, join hands and make a circle.
Yeah. And another thing, then you have to explain with the couple that there's a balance between the two people. And if I tell you to occupy the place beside you, then that person has to take your spot, and there's this counterbalance that happens between couples. It happens on a run. If the girl doesn't dodge when the boy runs, then you're offset a body. And we have to explain that there is some counterbalance that occurs between couples. And that helps the set stay small as well.
Yeah. I want to get into there's styling when people don't know what they're doing. What if somebody is lost in the square? Caller gives a call and people don't know, when somebody doesn't know where to go. The key is to use hand gestures. Don't talk, because that's interfering with listening to the caller. Practice using hand gestures. You want them to turn around, just spin your finger in a little circle, or point to the direction where they should go. That's perfect. Just point without saying anything. That's one key, one styling technique to keep people dancing when they're unsure what they're doing. And the second key thing, if somebody becomes completely lost, say you become completely lost, caller gives a call and you just have no idea, you're just doomed. Don't turn around. Because if you turn around, somebody wants to help you, and you turn around, here is this face in the person's face that's trying to help you, your face on, and it's hard to adjust somebody and help them if they're face to face with you. But if their back is to you, you can step up and kind of just gently put the arm behind the back, gently indicate where they're to go. Now we have to tell our people in class this, remind our people, even graduated dancers in workshops, if you become totally lost, don't turn around. Turn your head, and if you can see where you're supposed to go, fine, go there. But if you become totally lost and don't see where to go, just stand and don't move. Someone will pick you up.
So everybody, circle to the right, please. Let's go into this. And drop hands, go single file. By the way, we call this dropping hands going single files. This is good. Men, step up along the inside of the girl in front of you. Shake right hands to right hands if you don't know her. Underneath the right hands, join left hands. Men's palms up, ladies' palms down. Now let's stop for a second and look what we have. They've done what I've asked them, but now I need to get a little more specific. I say, take your fingertips and turn them and point them in the direction where you're walking. Men's palms up, ladies' palms down. So you don't have an over grip, you don't have an under grip, and you're not, so that it's, again, you're not gripping the hands, but they're platforms. Now promenade, everybody, we call this promenade. Watch them promenade. And they're looking, and while they're going on the promenade, I'm visually seeing the hands. Freeze right here for a second. I can see what's happening if I have somebody not listening. They're maybe over gripping by doing an underhand hold or men's palms down or something, and I can say, remember, men's palms up, point in the direction, the fingers in the direction where you're kind of headed, and that helps because it rotates their hands outwards, and now they're moving and sliding to the rhythm of the music. So this is the first promenade they see. If you back out at home for a second, and then we teach like heads promenade or sides promenade. But oddly enough, we don't use the double hand promenade on that. For a heads promenade or a sides promenade, being that it's not all four couples doing it, we have to re-explain that it's okay for just two couples to take inside hands and walk across to the opposite side of the square. You have to turn your left shoulder to the center of the set as a couple and go around the outer perimeter to get there. But then there's this little something that we have to teach too that's called square breathing. And that means that if the head couples promenade halfway, the sides need to squeeze together a bit to allow the heads to get there quicker. If they don't, you'll add 2 more beats of music to get to that spot. So heads promenade halfway, sides squeeze in. When the heads get across the way, they can back out again, and now you've created and explained that there's some square breathing that has to occur on occasion for certain calls. Sides promenade halfway, you have them do it, square breathing at the heads. It breathes in, and then it comes back out to your set and square again. Good. Now everybody promenade. No, this is the formal one. Both hands, right hand's held, left hand's under. Point in the direction you're going. And there's one quick example of promenade until you're home. And you get it. Very good.
Tim didn't say stop, so we have this highly intelligent person who is going to keep going. Let's have the head start through California twirl, square through 4. There's a test to see if you took hands quickly. And you all passed the test. I was ready to start to count the 1, 2.
Cheering for me.
Bend the line. Let me get to a specific call that I see it needs styling work. Are all of you dancing plus? Can we do load the boat? Yeah. All right. Remember this footprint. I want you to come right back to this when we're done doing this. Everybody load the boat. Go. Are you ill? Are you ill? Okay, start through. Go back to your footprint now. Now they did the load the boat pretty good.
Go back to your footprint.
Footprint, remember it said, remember the footprint?
Rewind. Rewind.
All right, now I'm going to have you do load the boat again. And when I say freeze, freeze instantly. Go, load the boat. Freeze. See the gap here? They're too far apart. The pass-through is too long, which then pushed the whole square out. And that's what I see all the time on load the boat. The outsides have no trouble. They just cruise around the outside. The key is for the pass-through in the middle to be very tight. Okay, finish your load the boat. Slide through. Now, in order to get the mind picture to the dancers, I tell them that the pass-through in the middle has to be very short. They're used to thinking a normal pass-through from facing lines, so that's why they tend to go too far. So we tell them, think very short pass-through, and then as soon as you pass by the peripheral vision of the other person's eye, you immediately turn out. And the material on your sleeve should be rubbing the material on the other person's sleeve all the way through. It's a no hands yellow rock for the centers. That gets the mental picture, and they're going to keep it tight in the middle. Load the boat. That's good. That's good. Start through. So if you paint that mental picture, a no hands yellow rock for the center, that'll keep it tight. But I see at dances all the time, the centers are way to the outside, much too big a pass through, and that just slows that square down, but maybe other squares have done it correctly, and now this square is behind the collar, etc. Okay.
Go ahead and square your sets right back then, veer home. Let's give a nice hand to these dancers. They're doing really well. They're very proficient. One of the things that we also have are dance actions that require support and balance. And without that support and balance, the action gets sloppy and all sorts of things can happen. The first action that we come across when we start teaching new dancers is the action swing in and of itself. Some defer the use of a swing or show a different form of swing, depending on where in the group that you have. But if swing is in your repertoire, and it is probably for most of us, you have to try to explain how to do this and do it in a way that they can practice it at home maybe, and everybody gets a chance to practice this thing. So everybody face your partner and take your partner in a ballroom dance position like we're getting ready to do a waltz. Brian, the hand's a little higher. Yeah, no, I'm just teasing. On a waltz, sometimes the hands on the guys, they try to take advantage of that. Now you have a pump handle that's in the middle of the square, pumping that's in towards the center of the set. And you need to slide right hip to right hip. Now these dancers are already dancing, so they automatically did that. But a normal group would be face on, taking that position. So you have to explain, you have to slide right hip to right hip. There's two styles of swing. I teach the walk around one just because that's the easiest, I think, until they really get feeling good about how this bounces. Now I said there's a pole that has to go between the shoulders of the two of you down to your feet. And you have to swing around that pole. That's the center of gravity of the two people. And if you explain it that way, and you have to walk around each other. Now, if either one of you leans forward or backs up, you're going to push the other one out of balance. And so you have to walk around each other in 4 or 6 quick steps. On this carpet, it's going to be a little more difficult. So swing the partner, looking over their shoulder if you can, if not, just in that direction. And you've done it. Now, at the end of the swing, what do you tell them? If, let's say, you taught the swing, but you haven't told how to get out of one, you simply let go of the pump handle, open facing center set of position. The person you swung is on your right, guys. Beautiful, you've told them the whole thing. You've told them enough that they can do this swing action. But if you leave that part out, they don't know how to release out of a swing. And then you get all sorts of strange things happening on the swings. And then it's like the more they practice the swings, the easier they get this balance between the couple. Now, as soon as they start swinging somebody else on your progressive singing calls, they don't know any styling because they have their own partner swing style. Now they have to swing a stranger, and their styling could be a little different, or height, or weight, or width, or girth, or whatever could be different to swing, or whatever they're wearing. So as a guy, it's sometimes odd to swing, and they have a strapless dress on in the back. It's, I don't know where to put my hand back here. I don't feel comfortable. What do I do? So you have to explain how these swings work.
Now, there's another aspect of swing, too. This is not for everyone, because, especially with our aging population in square dancing, but it's the traditional type of swing where you really swing the other person.
Oh, buzz step.
Buzz step.
Yeah.
And it looks wonderful, but you can only do it with people that want to do it. And you can tell, and if you're dancing, and one of the people in the square on the singing call, you get to them, and you start to swing, and they start to go a little faster, then you can go faster. And so we'll give you the formula for the buzz step. The key on the buzz step is you lean back. The further you lean back, the faster you can go. If you try to do a buzz step, and I'll demonstrate with Marilyn, and why don't you talk us through this?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So they're going to take the normal swing position. Their inside feet are almost touching. They're kind of together.
We want to go
And now he's going to lean back.
And we're going like this.
And he's spinning.
Now I want to
rotating.
go faster, so we lean back,
Leaning back to go faster.
Now the girl has to be confident that you're not going to drop her.
Right. And there's a center of gravity. Let's give Meryl a nice hand for being such a swinger. She's going to get a reputation.
But the swing is a lost art, and if you can find someone that can do the swing like that, it's just wonderful. But the key is you have to lean back. If you don't lean back, you'll stumble all over yourself. It's lowering the center of gravity.
Oz, we have a...
Oz, Silicon Valley. I'm also a contra dancer, and I'm going to disagree with you. First of all, for the walking swing, it's usually a good idea to tell people to take slightly shorter steps with their right foot. Secondly, you don't really want to lean back in the swing. You want to support each other's weight vertically, and you want to give some weight, but you don't actually want to lean back because that's going to cause an overbalance.
Unless there's an equal balance.
Yeah, unless there's an equal balance. I've never had a problem with leaning back. The further I lean back, the faster I can go.
And so you'll develop a styling between your own couple where you get an equal balance. And so you really won't know that there's that little bit of resistance. Let's go on to arm turns for a second, too. There's actions with arm holds. Now, they're like scoot back and flutter wheels and those sorts of things, and yet the more the dancer dances, they tend to not go to those arm holds, they go to a hand hold. And they just do the hand hold rather than an arm hold. But the arm hold is designed for you to get around each other quicker. You can get, and there's some stability. Now, so everybody face your corner, and with your corner person, do a right arm turn. Now, you join right forearms, you don't grip the hand, and you don't go past the elbows, guys. And you turn that, but don't, okay, arm turn, but wait, we've let go here. So now, an arm turn has no ending. It is a continual action and motion that you just do, and you don't over grip. You have to keep those hands, and if you do over grip, then you realize you're going to have bruising involved. By one or both. So you have to kind of look and be observant. Are they over gripping? Turn that arm turn around again, please, and go to your partner and do a left arm turn, your partner. Come back to your corner now and just bow to your corner. And all of these things flow. So when you're teaching scoot back or flutter wheels and they require the arm hold, you've kind of explained how to take the arm and why it's important to do that rotation action. On flutter wheels or especially. And on a flutter wheel, you don't let go of that arm hold until you're ready to back out to your spot. Otherwise, they do a half a flutter, they let go, and then they drag her around, or him around, depending on who's doing which part. So those are actions that require the support and balance too, but also some other styles. Like a ladies' chain. You want to do the ladies' chain thing? So if I say head ladies' chain, and you teach, okay, you start off, girls shake right hands, pull by, take a left hand gent with a guy, and guys wheel their left face around, all the way around to face back in. Yeah, okay, that's about what we hear when teaching. And if you have a lot of angels, you might even hear less than that as a description, because they rely on the angels to get the people through it, rather than you're describing it. And if you're doing that, I would say, don't. Go back to teaching it like there's no angels in the room. So that was one way. The other way is, hey ladies, in a minute, you're going to shake right hands and pull by with each other, and you're going to take the left hand of the opposite guy. Now guys, when you lead the girl in there, did you hear the word lead? You will guide the girl to the center. That's the little helpful hand to guide her to the middle. And then guys, you need to dodge slightly to the right and turn your body leftward. Watch. Head ladies shake right hands, pull by. Boys slide over, turn to the left a bit to anticipate the girl's left hand, wheel her around to face back in. And you've done this action, and it flowed, and they're back to squared set again. In this case, as the head ladies are back to home. But telling the guys, if you don't tell the guys to slide over and turn their body, it's like the girls have to kick-start the guy around. Like he's stuck in the mud. And like you're standing on the beach and you get sunk in the sand. He's hard to get around him. So side ladies chain, go ahead guys, slide to the right, shake her left with oncoming, greet her and wheel her left face to get back in. You're anticipating that she's arrival and you're ready to rotate her back into position. Side ladies chain back. And notice though with four ladies chain, the styling changes to stars. And these are fingertip palm stars where the palms go fingertips pointing to the ceiling, they're not gripping of hands. So all four ladies chain, all the guys have to slide, we all have a part in it, and wheel. And I actually ask the ladies to count. And I make a joke out of it when we teach that. Because the ladies don't count, they don't know how far to go. If it's a 3/4 thing, and if the ladies aren't counting, the guys just see women. They don't know which one to reach for. So girls chain 3/4, make your star. Girls count with your left hand. 1, 2, here's number 3, I take you. Good. All four ladies chain 3 more quarters. There it is. Count, ladies. And you get your partner. So that's just a typical. Now, that didn't take too long to show a styling hint while I was teaching. And that was the point we're trying to make. These hints are so subtle that you can tell them and describe them, and they learn them. It's a good habit.
Next item. Everybody do a right left grand. And when you meet your partner, promenade back home. Okay. The way they did it is the normal way you do it. Here's a little styling flourish that we can do. Marilyn, you want to come up? Can we have you step up just a second so Marilyn can step in there? We're going to. No, you're in. Okay. So we're going to do a right and left grand again. But watch what happens when Marilyn meets her partner, which will be over here, which is right where you can see. Go ahead, right and left grand. She just turned away, and it looks classy. Primarily because hardly anybody does it. Some women will do it, but it looks good. So let's break it down and see how do I teach this to my dancers at home, because I want them to look good while they're doing it, especially when they haven't seen it before. Start your right left grand. When you meet your partner, stop like a full step beforehand. Go ahead. Start your right left grand. When you meet your partner, pull by with the last one, and now freeze here. The girl must turn away to her left now. She can't wait until she gets to her partner. Her action of turning to the left will let the man take 2 steps forward. She will finish her turn to the left at the same time the man is beside her, and it works like a charm. Consider doing that yourself. Consider showing that to your dancers at home. Another neat thing to do is if people in the square are wearing skirts, or square dance dresses, which may not happen too much anymore, unfortunately. But what's neat is if the caller says heads to the middle and back, and I'm with my partner and I have her hand, we'll go in, and as we come back, I'll twirl her under. And if she has a skirt on, the skirt will fly and it looks really impressive. You move in, you come back and the skirt flies. What's really neat is if the opposite lady has a square dance skirt on also. And you two know each other, 2 couples know each other. So you both go into the middle and come back and the skirts fly and the sides are just shocked out of their, all these skirts in their face. It looks impressive. Now the question is, how does the girl know, how does my partner know when to turn? Because if we go into the middle, and how does she know whether I want her to turn or not? If she starts to turn and I don't want her to turn, I can bend her arm in an awkward position. So what I will do, I will signal her. And when the caller says heads to the middle and back, as we start in, if I want her to twirl, I will squeeze her hand. And then we move in, squeeze her hand, and that tells her to turn. If I don't squeeze her hand, she knows not to turn. That's a neat little flourish to show your dancers.
Another action is the trade action. If the heads will lead right, and then circle to the left 3/4, please. Because I don't dare to call circle to a line. Okay, everybody passed through. So we're on the trade family, and I always like the habit of teaching of the big things first, and then you work your way down to the smallest. So I'm usually doing couples trade, and then I'll do ends trade and centers trade, and I'll get them in waves, and I'll do similar things with the ends trade and the centers trade, and then I'll do couples trade, different things like that. But then you have to sometimes show partner trade, which is the smallest of trades and somewhat the more difficult one. The smallest of them sometimes can be difficult to see because you're so close to it. And you say, look, you're going to trade with your partner. The men are doing this action of going a half a circle around the girl, but at the same time, the girl has to turn towards the man, and she has to flip into his place as well to reverse your facing direction. But there's some helpful ways to remind you that there's identifiers. I just can't haul off and just say, trade. Now, there's some places where you can, but I'd like to qualify who does what, because if it's a couples trade, or from here it could be a boys trade, it could be a girls trade, or partner trade. So, if I say with your partner trade, or partner trade, then you have to identify, or that qualifying statement is put in to know that I'm going to be doing it with just you and I, we're standing adjacent. Now, if they're arm trades, those are the easy ones, the arm trades, right trade or trade by the left or trade by the right. But the partner trade has that collision thing going where they have the rule passing right shoulders to get around each other. So a little helpful hint there is I tell the man that sometimes that role as a leader, we do sometimes lead the dancers a bit, is to take the two index fingers that you have the inside hand held and you simply twitch them upwards towards you. A reminder, you're coming towards me. It's a little finger gesture where you just you're coming towards me with that hand being held. Now that it keys the lady that she's going to be doing the trade with you, not with the other couple. The other way, another alternative way, is to take and do that, or you can drop the hands between the body. If you drop and throw the hands behind you, the momentum of dropping the hands and turning has you turn towards each other. So do a partner trade with some of those styling hints. Okay, and you get around each other as you've done the action. And again, the hand at the end of it is back into ready dance mode position. Everybody do a pass the ocean, please. Okay, now we're getting into waves. So we don't want to go this route, or we could, but let's not. There's styling regional differences on how you do waves. One is the arm hold, some is the pitching wing hold, like give me your wallet hold, 6 gun, hand up, hands up hold, and some of us handshake holds. When in Rome, do as Rome's, okay? But don't do the thumb grip hold. Do not grip thumbs, because then you're going to be arm wrestling. Now, there are some people who clog, and they like to take this hand hold, and they do all these added things. But we're not clogging, we're dancing again. So you want to take those hands lightly and not be having the need of an elbows bent, right? And your shoulders aren't all lined up. You should be able to look diagonally down and see another person look in the same direction as you in that wave, okay? So now we have a wave action here. If you want anything more you want to add to the wave. These little individual trades, you have to have counterbalance and balance between the handholds. And you do put resistance between the palms. There's some resistance, there's some pressure there when you do the trades. So do your swing through. First you trade by that right, followed by the trade by the left, and there's resistance, and then you tag the hand again. Now, the one that I wanted to get to is the run. And this is a pet peeve of mine. On a run, right now the girls have a free hand outside, and it's usually to your side, or maybe hanging down there, all right? Put it back up in dance mode, 6 gun position, the guy's expecting it there, so when you get around the girl, she can place her hand in your hand, guys. On a boy's run, I don't want the girls to take their hand behind their back and reach for the guy, and then pull him around, because that's not the call. Because when you put your hand, ladies, behind your back to reach for the guy, you have no idea what you're getting back there. And he's trying to get around you, and he's looking for a hand on the other side of your body. Boys, run around the girl. Girls, keep your hands there. There's a place for it to put right in his hand, and you're ready to go.
Girls trade, wheel and deal. Pass to the center, And in the center of your left, don't call that, I called it because no music. Bend the line. Okay, I want you to do this call however you want to do it. Heads lead right, circle up forward, break out, make a line.
Bust down.
Okay, these are all good dancers, so they did the call correctly. But when I'm in a dance, half the time after the circle to a line, the people will go into the middle and back. They just do it on their own. Now that totally messes up the timing of everybody. Messes up my timing because if the whole floor is going into the middle and back, I gotta wait for them to go into the middle and back. If some are going into the middle and back and some aren't, now what do? Do I call the next call in the correct timing, which should have been not allowing into the middle and back, and then the other people think, oh, he's calling too fast, so that makes me not look good. Or do I wait for the people that are upping and backing, and now the people that did it correct, they're not happy with me. So it's a lose all the way along. And what happens to the dancers? Let's say I call the correct way. So break to a line and I go right into the next call, but some people are upping and backing. So they're upping and they come back like this, but they've heard the next call, so they kind of look like an H in there. And it just doesn't look good. So the key on the styling there, tell your dancers, if you see them going up to the middle and back on their own, don't do that. And you have to give them a reason. Say, it's because it will adversely impact the other dancers who don't dance as good as you.
Well, and they're also adding 4 beats of music or dance time to that action. Yeah.
Now here's another thing, and this was told to me way back when I first started calling. If you are going to call up to the middle and back, give the dancers time to do it. You ever see dancers, your caller calls up to the middle and back, right and left through. Gee, they haven't even had a chance to wiggle, let alone go up and back. If you're gonna call up to the middle and back, which is a double reversal of body flow, but sometimes we need it to get the square and good orientation. If you're gonna call it, you gotta give them time to do it.
4 beats. Forward and back. Ready? Let's try it. Forward and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back in place. So this is really good dancers here. I'm not sure, but let's
pause here a second. Does anybody have any comments or questions on anything that we've done so far?
Well, it's really not anything you've done so far. You've had the ladies chain across with the hands. What do you do with men? I see some of them now with hands like this, some of them with the old grip like this when they're turning in the center, and when they come out with the hands all like this, they're like...
As far as stars go?
Yes, when you're turning them, what do they do with their hands?
Okay, all right, let's square our sets back up again, please. So if I'm understanding the question, when the ladies are chaining, where do the guys put their hands?
No, I want when you got the men in the middle. When the men are in the center.
We don't chain the men.
Well, you star them whatever they do with their hands.
All right. For stars, I say all stars that are forward stars or palm stars, fingertips pointing to the ceiling. Make a forehand star and turn that star with the fingertips pointing to the ceiling. Go ahead, turn the star, guys. And then pass your partner by, and with your corner do a left hand mini star, just the two of you, left hand, palms up with your corner, and then come back to your partner and do a right hand star. Keep a hold of that star and the mitten back into the center with a thar to make a backup thar star. Now stop right here, this is different. Now when the backup thars happen, then you grab the pack saddle hand star in the middle. And those are the pack saddle stars that I like to see, and the reason is, it's for balance, stability. The ladies are moving the guys backwards, they need that extra protection or grip.
I find that not being taught.
It's not being taught.
It's still this, and they're fighting.
Yes, and there are regional differences on stars. Some areas do stars at hand level, down in the middle, rather than palm stars, which is a different styling effect. You're welcome, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions? Because we've kind of run out of time. I think we're getting...
No, we have 10 minutes, but I want to make sure anybody has any questions gets those in.
Hey, Ed.
Yeah, Lee?
Yeah.
Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm from Long Island, New York.
Hey, who are you? Lee, come.
You know, when you're teaching beginners, there's some concern with doing the step. Now you're talking about styling now. At one point do you start to teach the styling and the step? Are you concerned with the step first and also with the styling, or do you wait for the styling and, you know, the combination of both? I know when you're teaching the step, they're concerned, do I use my right hand, do I use my shoulder? When do you bring the styling in? At the same time? Because, you know, you're talking about a lot of things.
Sure. It's a good question. Ed, you want to address that first?
I would say different callers do it different ways.
Yeah.
Tim does it together at the same time because he finds that saves time. And other callers say, no, I'm just going to concentrate on the step, I'll do the styling later. I personally like Tim's way, but I can't say that the other way is wrong.
No. And it also depends, Lee, on the dance action that I'm showing. For example, on a grand square, I want them to understand the action of taking the 3 steps and turning on the 4th beat, taking hands and those sorts of things. You might do that styling in combination with the action. The lady's chain, I might initially show the shaking of the hands, pulling by and taking the left and turning. And now let's try it this way, guys, with the added styling. And then I'll add the styling in. And the ladies will say, oh, that was much more smooth.
Yeah. Okay. Getting back to the load the boat. One of the things I do on load the boat is I break the squares up and I put them just with 2 couples. And the hardest part of load the boat is the center part. And I just have them roll away with a half sachet, and I have 2 couples work. And then I teach them load the boat just with 2 couples, because the end part is easy, that's not a problem. And then I just teach the load the boat with just 2 couples working. And then you put them into a line of 4 back in there, it's a piece of cake.
You're right.
Which is the name of a call, by the way.
It is. And also...
And the reason he said he half sachets them in 2 couples is because that's the way the centers are when they do the load the boat, usually.
And as Ed addressed the load the boat issue earlier, more often, the initial action of passing, they'll take 2 more steps past. And say, what are you passing? I mean, you've already passed. Freeze. Now do the next part.
Janet Oliveri from Denver, Colorado. When do you teach skirt work? My biggest pet peeve is the right and left through and the ladies putting their hands in the middle of the back.
You don't like the hand in the middle of the back or at their sides?
No, I wanted that hand free to do the skirt work.
Yes. So, in reality, we're not teaching lessons while they have skirts. So that's something that can come on a little later when you decide you want to have a dance party and have them wear the Western garb, and then you can explain how the ladies can do the flourish with the skirts. That's one way of doing it. The other way is they just learn it on their own. It's not a uniform way, I know, but it's just an action that they will develop however they feel comfortable. Because sometimes they're wearing a jean skirt, sometimes they're wearing prairie skirts. If they're wearing the traditional Western wear, where it does have that full ruffle that can open up, they can pull that skirt out. Then you can explain how that works and how they take the hand in on.
I love skirt work, and so it's a problem we don't have people wearing skirts very often.
Marilyn's here, be careful.
Well, she likes to wear the skirts too.
Did I hear that right? Ed like skirt work.
Yes, skirt work. Okay. And on the handout, one of the handouts at the end of the program here, there's a whole section on how to do skirt work, and I was taught this by women. And so it's wonderful to do a right and left through and hold the skirt up. I show that to people and say, on a right and left through, consider doing that. For lines of 4, up to the middle and back, if you're the girl on the right end of the line, from a standard line, use the skirt work when you go into the middle and back. Do the skirt work on weave the ring. It looks really wonderful. But I tell the girls, when you do the skirt work on weave the ring, the skirt work needs to be done very slowly. That makes it look elegant. You see some people at dances, the girls are doing the skirt work and they're going back and forth like this, like they're standing up on the top of the bar doing a dance. You know, it just doesn't look classy. You want to do it very slow. It looks elegant. I'm a big believer in skirt work, and so that'll be in that one section of the handout.
Mike had a comment, I think, or observation or question or whatever. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Mike Seast from Los Angeles. One of the things I think is really key, and it's part of styling, I think, is making sure your dancers make eye contact. Make eye contact, particularly if you have a 4 ladies chain across. Gentlemen, you know the gal's coming. A lot of times in the heat of the battle of that chain, the girls lose track sometimes. Get that hand out. The guy puts that left hand out as a landing pad, and he's making eye contact at the gal coming his way. Any movements like scoot back and stuff, people coming in the center, make that eye contact. It's the key to success. It makes it a lot more fun, make faces at each other, that kind of thing. I think it's really important to relay that eye contact.
Yep, that's a good idea. And even when you do the walk-arounds and the seesaws, you express that, hey, this is kind of a flirtatious action. When you're walking around, have that eye contact. Now, why is that? It stops them from backing up. They have to maintain the eye contact with each other. There's nobody turning around and backing up while they're doing the action. On Dixie Style to a Wave, I'll describe the two. From a normal couple, the man can eye the other guy across the set, whoever they're counter dancing with, and if they eye each other, they know they're coming to the center to meet. On a standard Dixie Style to a Wave. How about on a standard coordinate, you have the two trailing gents eye each other that are in the columns. They eye each other, they know they're going to meet, then they see each other, and they don't have to count 1 1/2 to circulate or try to figure it out, or say no, no, yes, or whatever games you play to figure that out. So we have another comment and observation question.
I'm Andreth Davis from Salida, Colorado. I'm very involved in teaching lessons and having open nights to get people to come in and dance. I have found that the normal do-side-do, when you are backing up, is so dangerous, especially with our aging population of square dancers. When you're going backwards, especially for the ladies, and you're in pumps or you're uncomfortable, or the guy doesn't quite know where he is, and all of a sudden I have caught an elderly lady backing up from a do-side-do because I happen to be watching. It's very dangerous. The other thing, the Hungarian do-side-do gives you stability, it gets you around faster. We dance at warp speed anymore. And it gets you around faster. Yeah, you have to know you don't go all the way straight to a wave, but the Hungarian do-side-do is so much safer for older people especially. And it keeps you in your tight area and you're not lost, you're stable. I just wanted to make that comment, that there is a good reason for doing that.
Good. Now, there's some other actions that we could show you, like heads, will you walk into the center, please, and turn to look at your corner folks. All right? So I use the action slide through early, and I teach the action slide through because I don't have trouble with hand problems. So people say, well, they need stability and grab hands. They can do that by keeping the hands in a ready position, and they pass and turn. You're already doing pass-throughs, so the turn isn't the problem. Once they do the quarter turn, the hand is available for them to take and rest their hand upon. So do a slide through just for a second. And so, long about towards the end of lessons, I say, oh, we have another form of this action.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seconds to take hands in the middle. That was 6.5 seconds too long.
So counter this, guys, with the action star through. You have to describe that it isn't a hand grip. We're going to do the similar action, but they're going to touch hands. The men are going to make a cup. The girls are going to twirl underneath that cup. A quarter turn to the left for the ladies, the right for the men. So let's do a star through. They take those proper hands, you tell them, but it's not a grip hold. And then at the end of the star through, what do dancers need to do anyway? They let go to readjust the hands. So the slide through, I don't have that issue. It's just there. The hand's there, boom, 2 steps, they're done. So that's one thing.
Yes, Otto Waterman from Trinity, Texas. Real early in the lesson period, I show a grid with an X, but with additional grid. You've got a line between the couples, you've got a line between the backs and a line, and it goes in both directions. So if you did a star through right now, you still have the grid. There's 3 lines going in two different directions. Pass through, Now, when you wheel and deal, that gent that's in the middle has to stay in position, and the end comes around because they had to dissect that center line. And when you don't teach it that way, or you teach a boys run and the girls don't slide, ladies don't slide together, my God, you can't believe how big that square can get.
Well, and here's a good trick. Let's have the very end boy run around 3, and the others don't do anything. This is a good example. So we don't want this to happen. The other 3 need to counter dance, because otherwise you have your bodies out of place by one person each way. And you continue that, you'll have the whole square offset. So the rest of the square shift down, and that boy unrun just for a second so Otto can finish his other comment.
The big deal is, now y'all gonna slide back.
Slide over, come back.
The big deal is that we've talked for years, active and inactive couples. There's no such thing as an inactive couple. Everyone is active.
Okay, we're out of time actually now. Thank you for the square.
Let's give a nice
Appreciate
hand to the
that.
dancers. Ed has a handout, as well as I do, on the chairs.
Yeah, we have handouts on the chairs.
Stay here a second.
Mine are entitled Tips for Better Dancing and How to Look Good When You're Dancing. And Tim has a multi-page handout. Feel free to make copies of these and pass them out to anybody you want. I tell our people at home the tips for better dancing, if they memorize that sheet, they will break down very seldom. I tell them it's up to you. You can put it away in the drawer and never look at it, but if you memorize everything on that sheet, you will not break down. And we appreciate your being here.
Are these on the thumb drive before they go? Are these?
Yeah, these are all on the thumb drive also.
Also on the thumb drive.
Right.
Let's give Ed Foote a nice hand.
And Tim Marriner.
Thank you very much for being here. Don't forget, check out your critique sheets. How you like the session. Thank you.